Former drivers, come forward, please. Former drivers, John.
You gotta go.
Not you Hall of Famers. All the other Hall of Famers.
You do
Right, get out here. Tom, you're out here.
I'm out.
All the employees come out here. Phil Heil. Alan. If you want, it don't matter.
Don will send it to us, right?
All the former drivers, except for the new Hall of Famers.
Don will send it to us.
I want to make sure that we kind of keep the front clear here so that we can have the fans get plenty of pictures and whatnot.
Is that Kalani? Right here?
So that everybody can see. Of course, want to recognize some of our Hall of Famers already in.
Joe Walker, did you race here? Get back there.
Yes, he did.
Sitting back there with the hat.
He raced the first one.
Yep, see him up at the guy in the red shirt? He's sitting in the middle. Okay, make sure.
Paul Haver down here. Paul Haver, give everybody a wave. Paul? Hall of Famer Paul Haver. Hall of Famer Glenn Jewell. Driving tonight in the modifieds. Here's Glenn Jewell. Hall of Famer Joe Tedesco. Hall of Famer Ron Hoopengarner. Hall of Famer Jolly Roger Liner. Jolly Roger Liner. I gotta stay away from that.
Jay Peters. What is it? Jay Peterson.
Jay Peterson. Hall of Famer Jay Peterson. Hall of Famer Kenny Carroll. Hall of Famer Mike White Box Dawson.
This is Chuck Harris.
Chuck Harris.
Mark McGrath.
Mark McGrath. His son racing in the modifieds.
I'll come back. Oh, Clyde Gardner, Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer Clyde Gardner.
Paul Miller.
Paul Miller down here.
Kenny Vickers.
Kenny Vickers. Not in his car tonight, but he's here.
Yeah, but
You
they're
see Kenny Vickers.
Okay, we missing anybody?
How about Bear Swartz? Bear Swartz out there racing tonight. Of course, representing his father, Alan Clark, Delbert Clark.
Okay, did we get you everybody?
We got Dillon Body Shop down here, Mike Dillon Jr. and Wes Dillon representing their dad, Mike Dillon Sr. How about my old buddy John Wright, one of the old timers. Dave Sluka is here. His son's still racing in the open modifieds here at Midvale Speedway. And he is also the pace car for tonight, Dave Sluka is.
Did we miss anybody? Okay, let's give these guys a
All
break.
right, how about a big round of applause to our one-timers and our previous Hall of Famers. Also, Hall of Famer Chris Galati down here. Forgot about Chris Galati. Also, how about Hall of Famer John Chapman and Craig Mishler?
Yeah.
Oh!
Thanks for settling that
Also,
bat.
announce Chuck Barrett, one of our old-timers. Chuck Barrett, Hall of Famer. Soon to be. Phil Heil is standing down there with a Steeler hat on. Matthew Helms, of course, future Hall of Famer, I'm sure.
We had a service that night.
Is that right?
Jason Neely is here. Jason Anthony also here. Alan Bedard.
Oh, yeah.
At the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's Hall of Famer Bill Ditto down there. Got Miss Bill Ditto sitting down there with the hat on. Cigar man.
Joe Liner here.
Ridley Sidwell also here. Bob Sidwell not able to be here, but Ridley's here. There she is. Bob just had surgery, so it's okay. He's a little laid out, but Bob's doing good. All right, let's get into our Hall of Fame class, our 6th Hall of Fame class. We'll start off with the people that were unable to make it here tonight. First, we'll start off with Gary Madej. He was honored last week here at Midvale Speedway. He started racing at Midvale Speedway in 1966. 1967, he ventured up north to race at Camp Motor Speedway and raced on dirt at Wayne County. Had several wins, was inducted into the Twin State Hall of Fame, or the Twin State Auto Racing Club Hall of Fame in 2018. Again, how about a big round of applause for Gary Madej? He was not here, that got inducted last week here at Midvale Speedway. Our second member was born in Claremont, in Michigan in 1938. He served in the United States Navy and started driving for a local race car owner when he returned in 1960, racing at Cadillac Fairgrounds and the Mount Pleasant Speedway. He married his wife Joan in 1962. They moved to Beaverton, Michigan. He left his day job in 1971 to pursue racing full-time. Ed won the Dixie Speedway Classic in 1965, again in 67 and 83. One of his biggest wins was in 1969 at the King of Dirt Racing, the Tri-County Speedway near Cincinnati, which is now the World 100. In the late 60s, the owner of Hoosier Racing Tires, Bob Newton, made a deal with Ed to test and promote his tires. In addition, Newton encouraged Ed to travel farther south and sell race cars rather than just driving them. As a result, he formed Howell Racing Enterprises in 1971. He won the Florida State Championship in 72, 74, 75, and 76. He won both the Alabama State Championship and the prestigious Snowball Derby at Five Flags Speedway, Pensacola, Florida in 1972. In 1973, he put fellow Michigan driver Tom Mayer in a team car. The duo totaled more than 77 wins in one season. Hal broke one of racing's superstitions, painting his car green. They added 180-degree headers to his car that resulted in a high-pitched buzz, giving him the nickname the Green Hornet, still used in their corporate image today. Here at Midvale Speedway, he won the 1977 and 78 Firecracker 150. He also won the First Fall Classic in 1985. He supplied the cars that Cale Yarborough drove, and Neil Bonnet and David Pearson won Ohio Invitationals in. He was inducted into the Michigan Motorsports Hall of Fame in 1988, the National Dirt Racing Hall of Fame in Kentucky in 2001, and the Berlin Raceway Hall of Fame in 2008. Howell Racing has sold more than 4,000 chassis and racing products all over the world and remains in its original location. Ed is now retired with his wife, and his son Chaz continues to grow and run the business. Ladies and gentlemen, unable to be here tonight, but let's give him a big Ohio Midvale Speedway cheer that you can hear all the way up there in Beaverton, Michigan. Welcome to the Hall of Fame, the Green Hornet, Ed Howell. Also want to introduce Tim Johnston, also Larry Kilpatrick, and Farmer Tom Smith, who are Hall of Famers. Moving into our third member of the Midvale Speedway Hall of Fame class. Started racing here at Midvale Speedway on Sundays in 1982 in the Street Stock Division. He also raced at Barberton on Saturday nights. Wes had an enjoyable and successful 13 years career. He said he isn't sure how many races he won, but he has boxes of trophies to prove that he did. He remembers fondly Mid-Vid racing videos, placing a video recorder inside his car long before GoPros came out so they could record and show the fans what the driver sees. Wes would like to thank his sponsors over the years, especially Brightwood Motors and his beloved wife, who was a racing widow for 13 years. He also wanted to thank his stock car washer, John Chapman. Unable to be with us here tonight, he is in treatment, so our thoughts and prayers with him. Please welcome to the Midvale Speedway Hall of Fame, number 98, Wes Galbraith. Our next inductee was born in Cleveland, Ohio, and enjoyed a long and successful racing career by designing, building, and driving dragsters, super modifieds, and sprint cars. He began his racing career in the mid-1950s, drag racing in the Northeast. He switched to circle tracks and super modifieds in 1959. Joe taught himself how to weld aluminum and build all the bodies while his brother Frank, who was confined to a wheelchair, did the engine work. Joe engineered and built most everything that went on the car, from exhaust headers to suspension, to springs, the bodies, to the Y-face wheels. He was known for bringing new innovation to the sport, amassing many wins and championships in the Northeast at tracks like Lorraine, Sandusky, Cloverleaf, Oswego, and right here at Midvale Speedway. He won the Midvale Invitational for the Super Modifieds in 1962 and again in 1964, along with 2 Midvale Feature Championships. In 1971, Joe and his wife Laverne started their own business, creating fiberglass accessories and kit cars, including a 1952 SG TV replica. He retired from racing in 1975 and moved his family and business to Daytona Beach, Florida. After his retirement, Joe enjoyed building and flying radio-controlled airplanes of his own design. He also participated in his grandson's go-karting activities, and he loved to tell racing stories. He was inducted into the Sandusky Speedway Hall of Fame in 2003 and the Lorain County Speedway Hall of Fame in 2005. Sadly, Joe passed away in December of 2007. Through the years, he was a loving husband, father, and role model who always put the needs of his family first. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Mid-Vale Speedway Hall of Fame, Joe Mortensen.
This is his daughter, Laura.
This is his daughter, Laura, accepting Joe's Hall of Fame plaque tonight. Our next Mid-Vale Speedway inductee raced from 1969 to 1978 or so in the figure 8 division. They called him Nutsy for a reason. He wasn't going to let off in the X. He was going to go out there and get whatever he could. Even one night his wife wouldn't let him race, so he changed his name to Salvatore Petraglia. They even had a ceremonial burial for his car in the infield here at Mid-Vale Speedway. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the Mid-Vale Speedway Hall of Fame, Joe Nutsy Maffro. Our next Hall of Famer was born in the same house he lived in his entire life. He is the youngest of 7 children. His siblings are Bob, Willard, Bink, Ray, Doyle, Bonnie, and Betty. His father passed away when he was 12. That forced him to quit a lot of his extracurricular activities to help out his mother. He was the only child still living at home. James served in our country in the U.S. Army from 1961 to 1963 as a sergeant first class. Duff started tuning up cars at the age of 17 and began racing at Mid-Vale Speedway in 1964. He competed in the modified late models, always driving a blue oval. He started in a 1958 Ford and then built a 66 Mustang, putting it on that 58 chassis. Duff also played interleague baseball up until he was 29. He had a kennel raising and showing German Shepherds. He proudly had one of the top kennels in the country for 6 or 7 years. After retiring from driving, Duff continues to build classic cars from the ground up. In recent years, he did a navy blue 1933 Ford, his first show car in over 50 years. He also built a 1938 two-door maroon Ford sedan and is currently working on a 1964 half-ton pickup. Duff has a daughter, Natalie, 3 grandchildren, and 6 great-grandchildren. He is a friend to all that knew him. He was known as a real character. He would give the shirt off of his back to anyone. He is Mid-Vale proud, another reason why we are Mid-Vale strong. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Mid-Vale Speedway Hall of Fame, James Duffy Stafford.
Hey, Duffy, you're expecting.
We love this system.
Yeah, you're an animal, yeah.
Our next inductee grew up having the need for speed, dabbling in drag racing and motorcycle racing before racing OPC tunnel boats for Baja Motorsports through the 1970s. Although never a driver, Jerry became involved in short track racing in 1985 while helping his son-in-law AJ Diano in the street stocks and sports stocks at Canton Motor Speedway. Later on, Fastmax sponsored his own team with drivers AJ and Roger Reiner, along with substitute drivers Jim Coffey and Mario Diano. In 1991, Jerry opened his shop on the Boulevard, Fastmax Racing, where he built and sold Fastmax outlaw bodies along with selling chassis and car parts to an endless list of local drivers and car owners, including myself. During this time, he also started setting up cars for owners and drivers like Kenny Carroll, Rick Watson, Don Angel, Matt Gribble Sr., John Klein, Rick Bewley, John Bornhorst, Dino Long, Greg Grove, Bob Haney, and Dave Wright, amongst others. Jerry traveled with many race teams over the years, including Dino and Dan Long, in the main event series, Ryan and Joe Tedesco in the NSA series, Mark Hopkins for Dirt Late Models, and Steve and Mike Dillon Sr. in the main event racing series. Most recently, Jerry has helped set up cars for Kyle and Kevin Rector in the street stock division here at Midvale, and David John Saluka in the open modifieds. Jerry is a local legend, always willing to sell you a part, give you a setup tip, or tell you a story. If it ain't fast Max, you get passed. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Midvale Speedway Hall of Fame, Fast Max, Jerry Massarelli. Tell you a quick story. I went over, Jerry hung the body on my stock car, and I asked him, can I put Fast Max on there even though I'm not going to be very fast? He told me it was okay. Our next inductee's father started bringing him to the races in 1949 at Sportsman Park, now known as Northville Park, where they harness race today. That experience made him a lifelong fan and participant and follower of stock car racing in one way or another. His dad had a stock car in the early to mid-1950s that raced at Strasburg Speedway on Friday night, Canton Motor Speedway on Saturday, and it was still race-worthy Midvale Speedway on Sundays. He worked many hours on his dad's cars over the years. In 1957 or 58, Earl started driving go-karts and won numerous races. In 1959, he drove a short time for the legendary Jack Hope of the 301 fame. During that time, he discovered that being newly married and working through an electrical apprenticeship left him little time for car racing. So in the early 60s, he started helping out and learning tower duties at Canton Motor Speedway. In 1965, he was hired as the chief judge and race director at Canton, where he worked for 21 years. Throughout those years, he worked the tower for Barberton, Cloverleaf, and Columbus on occasion. Before the digital age, Earl built timers and timing systems for many tracks across the country, one of which was sold to Five Flags Speedway in Pensacola, Florida. In 1999, he was hired as the race director right here at Midvale Speedway, where he and his wife ran the scoring and tower duties for the next 8 years. In his 29-year career of officiating, he is the most grateful for his family and their understanding while he was gone all those Saturdays and holidays. He said it is a privilege to have met so many fine people and only a few that were challenging. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Midvale Speedway Hall of Fame, Earl Swinehart. Our next inductee started racing at 15 years old at Burton Speedway. Throughout his career, he never actually owned a car, but drove for many owners. Throughout his career, he ran in a 5-state area. He got to compete here at Midvale Speedway against many tough competitors on asphalt and dirt. One of his biggest thrills was winning the Firecracker 150 right here at Midvale Speedway. He liked the long races on a short track. He said as a traveler, the Zalati family always treated him well and opened up their arms. He and his wife of 61 years, Georgine, have 3 children, Dawn, Alan, and Sue. He feels very proud to have raced with the best of the best here at Midvale Speedway. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the Midvale Speedway Hall of Fame, Chief Yakabuchi.
Hey, Chris. Pit pass number 6969.
And he's wearing pit pass number 6969 tonight. Of course, Chief drove the number 69, so pretty interesting.
He's been playing the 50-50. Thank you.
Our next inductee celebrated his 29th wedding anniversary with his wife Mindy, coming up on August 29th. On their first date, he took her to Midvale Speedway's car show, held back then at the Monroe Mall. She always said she should have known right then what she was getting into. Dave practically grew up in Midvale Speedway, coming to the track since he was about 4 years old. His idols, of course, his uncle Ron Guggenhardt and Rich Rohr. He has always been a supporter of many cars over the years, helping Ron Selway, Gary Guggenhardt, Ron Day, John Tannerelli, and the Ripleys. He's been a tech official here at Midvale Speedway since the early 2000s. If there's an accident in turn 3 or turn 4, he's always one of the first guys on the scene of that crash to make sure the driver's okay. Steve and Mindy have 2 children, Erica and Mason. He is a diehard fan and supporter, an official who has sacrificed a lot to dedicate his weekends to Midvale Speedway. He has racing in his veins. Please welcome to the Midvale Speedway Hall of Fame, Dave Hoopengarner. Our next inductee started racing in 1952 at different tracks all over Ohio and PA. He drove Packards, Hudsons, Buicks, Chevys, Mercurys, a Ford, and many Dodges at tracks like the Rubber Bowl, Canton Motor Speedway, Barberton, Cloverleaf, Wayne County, Lorain, Sandusky, Heidelberg, Caddis, Sharon, Hickory, Zanesville, Canfield, Painesville, and of course right here at Midvale Speedway. He won championships at Barberton on asphalt in 1966, and the next day at Wayne County on dirt, something they said couldn't be done back then. He won championships at Barberton in 78, 80, and 86. He is in their Wall of Fame, and he always finished in the top 10 in points. He won at Barberton on Saturday nights and Cloverleaf on Sundays. Bob also held track records at Barberton, Canton, and Wayne County. His son Bob Jr. always kept him in a race car, something he is very proud of. He was a staple here at Midvale Speedway and the voice of the pit area for several years as a track official. Pappy said his favorite race was right here at Midvale Speedway for the officials race in September 2014. At the ripe age of 84, he hopped in an old Ford Sheriff's car and whooped all of our butts. Mine was included. And Jason Jersey included. It was the final time that he raced. In 2016, he was inducted to the Twin State Auto Racing Club and Cloverleaf Speedway Hall of Fame. His wife Betty sadly passed in 1990. They have 4 children, Bob Jr., Paul, Hall of Famer Mike, and Diane. Although he has a 4th son, Tim Schmidt, who married Diane. They are now 4 generations of race car drivers, with his sons along with his 4th son, Tim, and his son, Timmy, Pappy's grandson, Paul Jr., and great-grandsons, Carson and Ty. Continuing on the Miller family tradition, he is very proud of them all. Please welcome to the Midvale Speedway Hall of Fame, Bob Pappy Miller. Just told me that he raced here full-time the year that Jolly Roger Leinert started racing. So that tells you how long Pappy's been around here at Midvale Speedway. Our next inductee is the first woman driver to be inducted into the Midvale Speedway Hall of Fame. She started her racing career at the age of 10, driving a quarter midget with some friends on a dirt track at her family's dairy farm in Talmadge. When she got her driver's license at the age of 16, she started racing in powder puff races, an all-woman field, as women couldn't race with men during that time. She won all of those events for 6 straight years, driving the cars with Paul Wright, Wayne Hayes, Bob Pappy Miller, Chuck Blunt, John Crumrine, and Roger Black at Midvale Speedway, Barberton, and Sandusky. In 1976 was the first year women were allowed to race with men. Her father bought a late model for her, and they came here to Midvale Speedway, which became her home track. Janet picked up several wins at Midvale, including her first feature, a special match race for the fastest 10 late models. She also picked up a win in Roger Black's car at Midvale, Daryl Dexter's at Canton Motor Speedway. She came back in 1981 to race in the 50-lap Ohio Invitational, driving Roger Black's number 29. She also ran Black's car at Barberton in 1985 and picked up the win. She said those years of racing were a lot of fun. She just wishes it could have lasted longer. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the first woman driver to be inducted into the Midvale Speedway Hall of Fame, the First Lady of Midvale Speedway, Janet Parker. Also have to give a huge shout out to Janet, who helped me with a lot of these bios this week. So thank you, Janet, again. I know she was texting in her car. Hopefully she wasn't driving, but I know she was hitting me up with a lot of information, and we, myself and John, appreciate it very much.
Now.
Okay, gonna have everybody stand. stand up for our final inductee, our 13th and final inductee, just like I want everybody to do on lap number 4, the late model feature. Our final inductee first raced cars in 1957. He built as a drag car because he wasn't old enough to run on an oval. When he was 19, in 1975, he first built a stock car, 1968 Chevelle. The first race he entered at Marvinton Speedway, he won. The next year, he built a 72 Chevelle called the Fruit Loops car, his first late model. After that, Scott had many different cars, a Howe, a Hanley, Ford City, and LLF. Some of the best motors came from Malkin, Drain, and Powerline. No matter where he went, he was fast. Scott raced all over, here in Mid-Vale, Barberton, Cloverleaf, Moraine, Sandusky, Indiana, Pennsylvania, Florida, and Michigan. He was a member of the ORA, the Iceman Series, the Main Event Series, and the Hooters Pro Cup. He was also a well-known and respected fabricator. He won countless features at almost every track he raced. He won 6 main event races as well as the championship at his favorite track, right here at Midvale Speedway. He also won several Sandusky cavalcades. He won the EC Delco Murray's Iceman Championship in 1999 and the Ohio Late Model Series Championship in 2000. He is a professional on and off the track with a huge fan base, me included. He was a kind man, he had a huge heart, and he was great with fans. Sadly, last summer, we lost Scott. He was set to be inducted into the Midvale Speedway Hall of Fame last year, but out of respect for his family, we postponed that until this year. Tonight, we welcome Scott home. He will be missed forever. Please put your 4 fingers in the air and welcome to the Midvale Speedway Hall of Fame, Scott Baker. Ladies and gentlemen, how about a big round of applause for your 6th class in 2021 for the Midvale Speedway Hall of Fame.
Feature starting on the pole. The number 4 is Jerry DeVore. The number 55 is the Rooster Brandon Bailey. The number 17 is Andrew Smart. The 02 is Rick Sibla. As Dave Saluka pulls his old machine off the speedway. Starting in row number 3, the number 50 is Will Walker. The 49 is Bob Page, pulling triple duty tonight. The 09 is Philip Cox. The 66 is Lewis McGrath. Your fastest qualifier, the 24 of Nick Grubbs, the 38 of Kevin McClintock. Those two, keep an eye on that row. Row number 5 can win the Gillen Body Shop bonus. Braden Swaney in the 57. The 09 of Wes Ennis. The 3 of Austin Berger. The 13 is Kenny Feaster Jr. The 28 is Brandon France. The 87 is Zach Leisure. The 28 of Glenn Jewell. The 007 of DR3. The 71 of Vanessa McCurry. Getting ready to go green. 25 lap feature, DeVore and the Rooster. Bob Snyder Jr., Randy Gray, and the 75 of Bobby DeVore, the second, rounding out your starting lineup. Jerry DeVore will lead lap number 1. Brandon Bailey in second. Andrew Smart right there on the bottom in the 3rd spot. Then the 02 of Rick Sibla, your front 4. Rooster going to get down in front of the youngster Andrew Smart in the 3rd spot. Sibla on the outside in the 02 as he tries to get to the outside of Smart. Now they get stacked up behind Smart. Sibla and the 50 of Will Walker battle for 4th. Bobby DeVore, the second, pulls pit side as his brother Jerry DeVore leads in the number 4. 55 of Brandon Bailey in second. The youngster Andrew Smart running 3rd. fourth, the 50 of Will Walker, the 09 of Philip Cox, and contact now between the 24 of Grubbs and the 02 of Cibla. That stacks up things up just a little bit. The 66 of McGrath to the inside of Grubbs. Caution on the front straightaway. The 71 of Vanessa McCreary spins. So Vanessa McCreary brings out the caution on lap number 6. 6 laps complete. Heat race winner Vanessa McCreary in the 71 will rejoin the field at the tail end. Jerry DeVore doing a nice job up front in the number 4. The 55 of Brandon Bailey runs in the second spot. Another good run right there in that third spot, the 17, the youngster Andrew Smart, the rookie. Will Walker in the number 50 will be running in the 4th position. He'll restart on the outside of Smart. Then the 09 of Cox, the 02 of Cibla. Your fastest qualifier Grubbs in the 24, the 66 of McGrath. Then the 49 of Page, the 38 of McClintock. The field will get the one to go signal this time around. Jerry DeVore and the Rooster. Six laps complete. 19 to go. Jerry DeVore and Brandon Bailey. Green flag in the air. So big stack up on the front straightaway as Jerry DeVore back out to the race lead. How about the youngster Andrew Smart up to the second spot? Philip Cox up to third. The Rooster Brandon Bailey dropping in an outside lane, and he's got a problem. Brandon Bailey going to pull pit side in the 55. Looks like a flat left rear tire. The 24 Nick Grubbs up to the 4th spot. The 50 of Will Walker in 5th, and the 02 of Cibla, the 49 of Page. Battle between Swaney and the 66 of McGrath for the 9th and 10th spots. Andrew Smart looked to the outside of the 4 of Jerry DeVore, thought better of it. Now he's going to settle back into that second spot. Smart again trying to look to that outside lane, trying the crossover. Jerry DeVore doing a nice job up front with the youngster Andrew Smart. Both of them looking for their first career feature wins. As Grubbs closing on the 09 of Philip Cox. Front 4, nose to tail, halfway home. 13 laps complete, 12 to go. Oh, Andrew Smart got a run, and he'll back out of it. Had a good run off of turn number 2. Nice decision by the youngster to back out of that one. Jerry DeVore holding a pretty wheel up front in that number 4. Philip Cox, Nick Grubbs battle for that 3rd spot. And now Willie Walker and the 49 of Bob Page have joined the front. 6-car breakaway for the race lead. Andrew Smart looking for a way around Jerry DeVore. Philip Cox trying to hold off the 24, Nick Grubbs. And Will Walker trying to move in on the front four. Can DeVore or Smart pick up their first career feature wins at Midvale Speedway? 6 laps to go. Smart's there. He'll back out once again. Andrew Smart again trying to get that run off of turn number 2. 4 laps to go. He gets a run on the front straightaway. Smart backs out of it again. He almost had the lane on Jerry DeVore. Into turn number 3. Almost to the door. Contact between the top 2 and they spin. So getting ready to go back to green. Jerry DeVore, Philip Cox. 21 complete. Green flag is in the air. So failed restart for the 4 of Jerry DeVore, the 09 of Philip Cox. We'll try it again. 4 laps remaining. 4 laps to go. Jerry DeVore, Philip Cox, your front 2 machines. Green flag back in the air, DeVore and Cox. Off turn number 2, Philip Cox around the outside will have the bottom. New race leader, Philip Cox. Jerry DeVore back to second. The 24, Nick Grubbs in third. Will Walker fourth. Philip Cox into turn number 3, looking for the white flag from chief starter Jonathan Smith. Jerry DeVore second, Nick Grubbs third, Bob Page fourth, and contact between McGrath and Will Walker off of turn number 2. Caution on the speedway for a huge stack up off of turn number 2 between Lewis McGrath and the Fox. Jerry DeVore on the front row. Nick Grubbs, Bob Page, Lewis McGrath, Kevin McClintock, Rick Sibla, Braden Swaney, Glenn Jewell. Duty tonight. Lewis McGrath, the youngster in the 66. Kevin McClintock looking for 2 in a row. He's got to have some things happen in front of him. 1 lap shootout, getting ready to go green off of 4. Green flag in the air. turn number 4. Your winner, Philip Cox. Nick Grubbs finishes second. Jerry DeVore third. Lewis McGrath in fourth. Good Van Meter Auto Repair modified feature. Jerry DeVore with a good third place run. Andrew Smart showing he's going to be somebody to be reckoned with throughout the next few years as Philip Cox wins. In the Snyder Home Improvement, Auto Lilia 4th, Your Pizza Shop, K9 Fitness, sponsored 09. New Philly Barbell also on this 09 of Philip Cox. Members of Gillen Body Shop in Victory Lane, giving out the trophies. Getting the earpiece undone, getting ready to climb out. Your Van Meter Auto Repair modified feature winner, Philip Cox. So getting ready to go green. 15 lap Canton Addiction Trophy stock feature is green. Jacob Keller with a good run on Tristan. He'll take the race lead. Evan Worrell going to go to the outside. Jacob Keller, Evan Worrell to the outside for the race lead. 2 laps complete. Jacob Keller, your leader. Three wide, back of the pack. Noah Kaufman going to get the bad end of that deal, as he's going to now be at the back of the pack. As Evan Worrell trying to get around Jacob Keller in the 37. Great battle up front. Jacob Keller and Evan Worrell continuing to battle for the race lead. Caden Scott, A.J. Andrews, and Nolan Caldwell now on the scene. 5-car battle for the race lead. Jacob Keller trying to hang on as A.J. Andrews now to the outside of the 62 of Caden Scott. Three wide, good move by Corbin Robinson to move up. He's up to the 6th spot. Worrell still in the outside lane trying to get around Jacob Keller. Halfway home, and caution on the speedway. halfway point. Field getting ready to go green. Evan Worrell, Jacob Keller. Green flag in the air right at the halfway point, 7 and 8 to go. Evan Worrell starting to pull away from Jacob Keller. The 62 of Caden Scott trying to hold off the 68 of Corbin Robinson. Corbin Robinson on the outside lane, the youngster looking to take over the second spot, your new track record holder. Not quite there on the bottom lane. So Robinson stays up high. Keller still there on the bottom. Evan Worrell continues to lead. 3 laps to go. Worrell and Robinson, green flag in the air. Worrell trying to hang on, hold off the top qualifier. Corbin Robinson in that outside lane. Down the back straightaway. Into turn 3. 2 laps to go. This time, can Robinson get around Evan Worrell? He leads at the line. White flag for Corbin Robinson. The 07 of Worrell in second. Problems for Caden Scott. He goes up the racetrack, gets split 3 wide, and off of turn number 4, your first career feature win, Corbin Robinson. Evan Worrell second, AJ Andrews, Caden Scott, and Nolan Caldwell. So a few weeks ago, Midvale Speedway held a couple classes for the trophy stock drivers. They needed to learn a few things, so we had a bunch of veterans come down and talk to the kids and take them out there during the week and show them some things. One of the kids that they were most impressed with was Corbin Robinson. Probably learned the most out of that class that John Chapman had here during the week. And he will go into victory lane for the first time in his young career. In the Crazy Waynes Incorporated, Robinson Garage Doors, Mauer's Tinning, Detailing, and Vinyl, Earl's Body Shop, sponsored number 68. This little youngster is going to be one happy young man when he climbs out. Here's your winner, Corbin Robinson. And also, Wes Gillen down here, he told me he is absolutely paying Corbin Robinson that Gillen Body Shop bonus. So Corbin Robinson going to get $200 cash right now from Wes Gillen. Thank you, Gillen Body Shop. That kid drove his guts out. And why we come over here? Come on over here, Corbin. All right. So slide down here a little bit because they got to get your pretty face on camera. So you just got $200 in your pocket. That was pretty cool. You want to thank Gillen Body Shop for that?
Thank you for $200, and I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, tell me, you learned a lot. I was told by a lot of the old guys whenever they had the class down here, when John had that class for you guys, he said the 68 was talked about the most. Do you think you learned a lot when that class happened?
Yeah, Bob Schneider and Kevin McClintock showed me a lot about doing good lines, and it helped me a lot.
So you got the new track record tonight. You got $200 in your pocket, and you got your first career feature win. Pretty cool, man.
Yes, it is.
Who you want to thank on the 68 tonight, young man?
I want to thank all my parents and all my sponsors and my brothers and all my friends. Congratulations, buddy. Thank you.
Your winner in NAC Tuning Victory Lane, Corbin Robinson. Dave Saluka with the Pace vehicle. Beautiful rat rod from Dave Saluka. The 169 is Bobby DeVore, the second. The 77 is Bear Swartz. The 67 is Bob Page. The 17 of Bob Snyder Jr. The 48 of the Mountain State Missile, Jonathan Ritter. Your fastest qualifier in the number 0, that is George Riddle. He'll start in the 6th position. The number 57 is AP Wren. The 25 is Chris Grubbs. The 88 is Dennis Wood. The 66 of John Sangquest Sr. The number 4 is Corey Heron, and the number 69 is Bob the Animal Eichel. Actually, Jerry DeVore behind the wheel of the 69 for Bob the Animal Eichel. So Jerry DeVore behind the wheel of the 69. So tough break for Rich Rohr over pit side. Richie unable to make the call, had some mechanical issues. Also Emerson Huffman in the 90. Both machines not having the best of luck here at Midvale Speedway. Tough break. Rich Rohr was pit side, is still pit side in that number 7, but having some mechanical issues in his machine, unable to make the feature. He'll be back this year, I promise. The 169. Bobby DeVore, the second, led the first 12 laps of the Firecracker 150 here at Midvale Speedway about a month ago, looking for his first career feature victory in that Animal Racing 169. Bear Swartz, the old veteran, on the outside. Getting ready to go, green flag racing, DeVore and Swartz. Green is in the air. Bear Swartz up the racetrack. Problems with the 77 of Bear Swartz. And the 169 of DeVore going to have the race lead. Jonathan Ritter trying to get to the inside of the 169 of Bobby DeVore as the 67 of Bob Page working to the outside. DeVore, Page, front 2. Bobby DeVore and Bob Page still side by side for the race lead. Bob Page to the race lead. DeVore back to second. Ritter third. George Riddle in fourth. Bob Snyder Jr. on the outside. He's fifth. Bear Swartz back to sixth. Then AP Wren, Dennis Wood, Chris Grubbs, John Sanquest, Corey Herron, and Jerry DeVore. Ritter and DeVore, contact between the 48 and 69. Of Bobby DeVore the second. Jonathan Ritter will tag the tail of the field, and Bobby DeVore will go back to the outside of Bob Page in the 67. Riddle, he's looking to take home that Gillen Body Shop bonus. He was your fastest qualifier. The 17 of Bob Snyder Jr., the 77 of Bear Swartz, 57 of AP Wren. Your front six, 9 laps complete, green flag in the air. Caution on the speedway in turn number 2. The 169 of Bobby DeVore the second, green flag in the air. Bobby DeVore slips back in that outside lane. Bob Snyder Jr. going to fire up to the inside, try and take over the third spot. Bob Page, your race leader. George Riddle, Bob Snyder Jr., your top three. Bob Page looking for that first late model win here. George Riddle looking for another win this season and the Gillen Body Shop bonus. George Riddle with some smoke from the right front, but he's going to get to the inside of Bob Page. George Riddle with a rubbing right front tire. Your race leader, the 67 of Bob Page. Halfway home, 15 in, 15 to go. Bob Page sitting right there in that second spot. George Riddle with a lot of smoke out of that right front tire. Will it hang on? Will Riddle be able to pick up another feature win here at Midvale Speedway? Or will Bob Page get his first? Bob Snyder Jr. looking for another feature win. He's a 3-time champion here. AP Wren with a good run in the 4th spot. Dennis Wood 5th. John Sanquest Sr. 6th, Jonathan Ritter 7th, Chris Grubbs in 8th, Bobby DeVore the 2nd, 9th, and Bear Swartz 10th. So Bob Snyder Jr. spins on the back straightaway. He will tag the tail end of the field. "17 laps complete. George Riddle, your race leader, with a smoking right front tire. The 67 of Bob Page runs in second. Then the 57 of AP ran a good run in the 3rd spot. Dennis Wood, a nice run in that 88 up to 4th. John Sanquest Sr. and then the 48 of Jonathan Ritter all the way back up from the back of the pack to the 6th spot. Chris Grubbs in the 25. The 169 is Bobby DeVore the 2nd. 17 laps complete, getting ready to go back to green flag racing. Riddle and Page, green flag is in the air. Caution on the speedway. John Sanquest Sr. spins on the front straightaway. So field to get the 1 to go signal this time around. Again, 17 laps complete. Jonathan Smith doing a nice job on the flag stand tonight, filling in for Terry Coletti. Getting ready to go back to green flag racing on Gillen Body Shop. Hall of Fame and Old Timers Night, week number 12 at Midvale Speedway. Looking for that $200 bonus is George Riddle. Green flag in the air. George Riddle will again have the race lead. Bob Page going to drop back into that 2nd spot. AP ran up to the 3rd spot. Jonathan Ritter trying to get to the inside of Dennis Wood for the 4th spot. George Riddle, your race leader. And the 4 of Corey Herron. Getting ready to go back to greens. 11 laps to go. 11 laps complete. Green flag back in the air. 11 laps to go. Oh, Bob Page almost into the fence off of turn number 2. Gathered it back up. Bear Swartz spins into the infield. And caution on the speedway. Nineteen laps complete, 11 to go. George Riddle, Bob Page, green flag back in the air. Riddle on the bottom, Page up the racetrack. Here comes Jonathan Ritter. Ritter up to 2nd. Snyder almost spun in turn 3. and Ritter going to move up to second. Is George Riddle your race leader? Your top two qualifiers now run 1-2. Five laps to go for George Riddle. 5 to go for Riddle. Jonathan Ritter runs second. Bob Page third. John Sanquest in fourth. Chris Grubbs in fifth. Bob Snyder Jr. sixth. Dennis Wood seventh. AP Wren eighth. Bear Swartz ninth. Bobby DeVore the second in 10th. 11th is the 69 of Jerry DeVore. And the 4 of Corey Herron. White flag for George Riddle. Jonathan Ritter is there. Will Riddle make any mistakes on the final lap into turn number 3? Ritter going to try and get in there, not going to make it work. George Riddle will win again. Jonathan Ritter finishes second, Bob Page third, John Sanquest fourth, and Chris Grubbs in fifth. So George Riddle, for the second time this season in Victory Lane at Midvale Speedway. It's been a while for him to pick up a feature win here at Midvale, and now he's got 2. Good run by the Mountain State Missile, Jonathan Ritter, to back up to the second spot. In the detail, LCR, Malkett Racing Engines, Needle Speed Solutions, sponsored number 0. Getting ready to climb out in Knack Tuning Victory Lane. Wes Gillen going to have to come down and hand out that $200 cold hard cash for the Gillen Body Shop bonus. So getting ready to climb out. Going to get $200 cash and a trophy. Your winner, George Riddle. We'll start in the 3rd spot with the 0 of Alan Clark alongside the 44 of Mike Stuber, the 36 of Wes Ennis, Jamie Leslie in the 64, Phil Button Jr., DR3, then Salinger and Finlayson 10th and 11th, Sean Donnelly, John Heidi, Braden Maurer, Justin Courtney, Clayton Oliver, Gavin Roop, and Savannah Alm, your compact field.
Hopefully you guys
So getting ready to go green, Zach Marshall and Don Rufner Jr. Green flag in the air, and we're underway. 3 wide, thought better of it. The Sizzler drops back down. He's in the 3rd spot. Now going to have the 0 of Alan Clark back to his outside. Don Rufner Jr. going to lead lap number 1. So Don Rufner Jr., your race leader. The Sizzler, Blaze Bacon, trying to get around that 0 of Alan Clark. Now he's getting swallowed up by the 36 of Ennis. Wes Ennis pulling double duty, driving for Rich Dunlap tonight. He's on the outside, moving up to the 4th spot. Problems for Jamie Leslie in the 64 as he pulls up high. Phil Bunton Jr. right there on the rear bumper, the 36 of Wes Ennis. Tough break for Jamie Leslie. He'll pull pit side. Don Rufner Jr. with a nice lead in the 47. Zach Marshall hanging on to 2nd in the 23. But he's quickly being caught by the 36 of Wes Ennis, the 79 of Phil Bunton Jr. And here comes the 07 of DR3 in the outside lane, along with your fastest qualifier, Curtis Finlayson. Closing in on the halfway mark of this 15-lap feature, 7 laps complete. Halfway home. 8 in, 7 to go for Don Rufner Jr. But here comes the 36, Wes Ennis, behind the wheel for Dunwoody. He's towing the 79 of Phil Bunton Jr., the 007 of DR3, and the 53 of Curtis Finlayson with him. '79 of Phil Bunton Jr. got into the 36 of Wes Ennis, and now caution on the speedway as the 52 of Salinger gets into the front of the wall, or gets into the wall with the front end on the back straightaway. For rough driving after getting into the 52. He first got into the 36 of Ennis and then turned left and got into the 52 of Salinger and turned him head on to into the back straightaway wall. Tough break for Jeremy Salinger as Phil Bunton Jr. sent pit side by race control. So 9 laps complete, 6 to go. 9 in, 6 to go. Don Rufner Jr., Wes Ennis, DR3, Curtis Finlayson are your front 4. Curtis Finlayson looking for that $200 Gillen Body Shop bonus. 2 Rufners up there trying to hang on against Wes Ennis, former track champion in the 09 back in the day. Curtis Finlayson in the 53. So Don Rufner Jr. hasn't won in a little while. Wes Ennis hasn't won in a compact in quite some time because he hasn't been in a compact. DR3 looking for another win this season, and Curtis Finlayson looking for his first career fast feature win. Green flag in the air, 6 to go. Don Rufner Jr. just couldn't get going, and that's going to allow the 36 of Wes Ennis and the 53 of Curtis Finlayson to the front. Wes Ennis, your race leader. Finlayson all over the back. Wes Ennis in the 36, the 53 of Curtis Finlayson. Two laps to go for Wes Ennis, Curtis Finlayson in DR3. White flag, get your cameras ready. Finlayson by a nose at the line. Final time down the back straightaway. Wes Ennis, Curtis Finlayson into turn number 3. Off turn number 4, Curtis in the high lane. Wes Ennis on the bottom and checkered flag. Curtis Finlayson, your winner. Wes Ennis finishes second. DR3, Don Rufner Jr. and Alan Clark, your top 5.